Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Lattice panel discussion. I'm Erin Mayorino, Director of Content here at Lattice Semiconductor, and I'm really excited to host our panel today. And today, we're talking about defending the digital frontier, highlighting notable insights for evolving cybersecurity landscape. We are joined by Eric Silvertston and Mamta Gupta, our security experts here at Lattice. Eric and Mamta, welcome, and I'll hand it over to Mamta to start the introductions, then we'll dive right in.
Thank you, Erin. Pleasure to be here. I'm Mamta Gupta, Director of Marketing, leading the security, telecoms, and data center segments. 20 plus years in FPGA space with focusing on aerospace, defense, security, and joined Lattice about 4 years ago. Glad to be here. Eric?
Yeah, hi, my name's Eric Sivertson. I'm Vice President of Lattice's security business. I have over 30 years experience in security from aerospace and defense to commercial space, and been a veteran of FPGAs during most of that 30 years. Happy to be here with you today.
Awesome. Great. And thank you both so much. And today we're here to talk about cybersecurity, and it feels appropriate because October is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month as declared by the US government. So this really just shows how important it is to raise awareness on this issue, to reduce online risk and generate discussion on cyber threats and on a national and global scale. So with that, it's important for us to start from how the cybersecurity market is evolving with its continued cyber attacks and threats, and its critical role that it plays in today's interconnected and digital landscape. So Eric, not just the tech industry, but how we interact with the world in general is rapidly changing with the rise of AI, ML, 5G, quantum computing, etc. Are there any pivotal moments or trends within the cybersecurity market to evolve and meet these advancements in the industry?
Yeah, it's a good question, Erin. I think, for lack of a better way to put it, what we see is kind of a security storm that's brewing out there because of all these changes. There's a paradigm shift that really has started this storm in motion, and it's evolved over probably the last 2 decades in particular. And this is where we're leaving a castle model or citadel model of security, where just like a castle, it was considered safe inside that castle, and it's protected typically by humans, a guns, guards, and gates mentality. And so once you're credentialed and allowed into the castle, into the enterprise, into the data center, you're considered trusted. And for a long time, I would say since the World War II, beginning of computers through the internet, early internet ages of the 1960s up to 2000, that model worked pretty well because it was difficult to get into these facilities. But we're now in a totally different environment, and we're moving into a very disaggregated and distributed compute environment. We have edge terminals. I like to use electric vehicles as a great example. There's one particular vendor. That electric vehicle has basically computing power that's 150, prepare yourself, million times that of what the computer that landed man on the moon. It's got 50 different MCUs on board and an AI engine with more capability than an F-35 fighter. And that same company has the 5th largest supercomputing center to train that vehicle to basically take humans out of the loop. So there are no guns and guards and gates around that basically rolling data center. And that paradigm shift has really shook up the world, and people have not fully adapted to it. And so I think that's the biggest trend that's now driving this security storm that we're about to go into. And in terms of the details of that storm, I think, as you see more and more electronic systems exposed, not behind a citadel or castle, then the lowest level components are exposed. And we're now seeing more and more what are called firmware vulnerabilities pop out. So there's actually an exponential curve of growth in the last decade of these vulnerabilities being found. And then right alongside every vulnerability, there's some clever miscreant on the planet that's developing an exploit for it. And so, that trend is scary because stuff that everyone thought was safe inside the castle is now fully exposed and being exploited. And that's given rise to a concept called cyber resilience. And I think we're going to get into some more on that in a minute. But also, there are other implications coming from 5G and new crypto technology. And I'd like to pass that over to Mamta and let her tell us about some of that, because I think this is in her wheelhouse. Mamta, you want to share some insight?
Yeah,
there?
thanks, Eric, for that wonderful, big picture evolution that is happening. But there are reasons for it. There are technical reasons for it, why this is happening. Why is the Citadel model breaking down? It is because of a shift towards disaggregation of our comms and compute architectures. In telecom, the RAN is being disaggregated into RU, DU, CU with open interfaces that vendors can mix and match and use. The compute and networking architecture is also getting modularized and disaggregated. OCP is leading the charge there. They are trying to open every interface up, literally just click and latch and tool free, no proprietary interfaces. So all of that modularization and disaggregation is leading to a very large attack surface. Now, why is that? Because all of these now pieces can come from different vendors. So there is no perimeter of a vendor. Oh, this is my server, my firewall, my connections. So that's a Citadel they built previously. But no, now somebody is giving you a server, somebody is giving you a firewall, and somebody is connecting them. So the attack surface has increased. And all these modular pieces are now being connected through, open standards. Like everybody is connecting the host CPUs through PCIe. It's now a standard. And in all the industrial connections are coming through Ethernet. So PCIe and Ethernet have become our wires, as we call them, to connect these modular pieces. So now you see you have disconnected or these modular pieces connected with wires. You have a threat of man in the middle and spoofing. You can switch out a valid host and put in a malicious host in there. So the need for trust, establishing trust at every step of the way, with every module, with every wire, has come up. And this is called the zero trust approach, that we don't trust neither any module nor wire. You establish trust every time. You establish trust with every module, and you secure your wires. So in Lattice, we have solutions that actually we call securing the wire solutions, where we are securing PCIe, we are securing Ethernet through mutual authentication, encryption. And another aspect that people tend to overlook is synchronization. That when you have so many modular pieces trying to work together, there have to be synchronized, and clocks play a big role. And normally that protocol is not protected. And the easiest way to mess up a system is to just mess with the synchronization. So need for secure synchronization is also part of securing the wire and establishing that trust in the system. And now, okay, fine. Now you have established trust. Each and every module and wire is secured. But then what happens if you still get attacked? You will get attacked. In the new paradigm of Citadel breaking down, the thing is you will get attacked, but you have to recover. So protect, detect, recover cycle is now featuring in regulations, in solutions. And again, Lattice offers multiple solutions towards that. And that concept is the foundation of cyber resiliency that Eric talked about. And that's how you solve this problem or give a solution for cyber resiliency, is to build in that protect, detect, recover cycle. So just wanted to give you a sense of, technical landscape, the problems, how to solve them or approach them even from, various segments that I have insights into.
So in listening to you both, it sounds like one of the biggest trends that we're seeing out there in the cybersecurity landscape is the transition from that Citadel process to more of a decentralized process with that. So Eric and Momtek, can you tell us more about the current cybersecurity landscape and emerging risks that we're facing in today's digital and decentralized environments? We've heard about a lot of cyber attacks in the news recently, especially in Las Vegas. People couldn't check into their hotel rooms. Some of the gambling functionality was limited. There's healthcare services that are out there, government agencies. How can we be prepared for these types of risks?
Yeah, I'll start that off. Actually, the MGM attack is a very interesting one, and this just begs for cyber resilience. It's a crossover between an old IT Citadel model and a whole bunch of IoT type devices. What happened there? You found that the attack they got inside the castle, the bad guys got in the castle, and then they started locking down all the IoT devices. So your hotel door opener, where you take your hotel card and swipe it and the door opens, that's an IoT device. They were shut down. So now you're staying at this wonderful casino and you want to go to your room to take a shower or take a nap, whatever. Can't get in your room. Okay, well, I'll go down and I'll have a drink, right? So you go to the bar and you pull out your credit card. The point of sale terminal, also an IoT device. It's now shut down. You can't buy a drink. And the casino can't take in money. All right, let's go gamble. You go over to the one-armed bandit. Guess what? That's an IoT device. It's shut down too. Then you did find that a few, because some of those devices were able to stay online and function, but they weren't connected up to the network. And now people could gamble on a limited number of terminals, but when they won, there was no automated way to track that they had won and to get their comp points. So all the personnel at the casino had to run around with basically a clipboard and a piece of paper and write down IOUs and your name. And you can imagine the chaos that happened. That's a perfect example of this collision of an old model and a new disaggregated set of equipment that was not cyber resilient. If each of those devices had been cyber resilient, it wouldn't have depended on the Citadel. They could have operated independently. They could have worked as a mesh to find another way to have communications. There are all kinds of things that could have been done that would have stopped this. So I think it's a great example of a failure of an old model that bad guys exploited to ransom MGM. And by the way, they're going to do this again. This is not the end. This is just the beginning of this stuff. So I think it really shows the need to have cyber resilient equipment. And just like what Mamta was saying, zero trust, where these devices don't trust one another. They're not going to say, I'm inside a protected castle. They say, I am my own protected castle. And anything that wants to come in and do anything with me has to validate itself. And I have to validate myself before I can do anything. So this idea of being able to withstand an attack and constantly be able to attest who you are, what you are, to establish trust in each transaction, that's the future. So that's a best example I can think of. Mamta, I don't know if you want to add some from what you've seen on the comm side as well.
Yeah, so true, very true. Like this is a very visible example, but cyber attacks are happening every day. And there are reports being published where, the average cost of the cyber attacks is like $4.4 million average. So these are increasing, as Eric likes to call it, velocity, venality, and ferocity. So it is on top of everybody's mind. But we have to keep in mind that the ubiquitous connectivity that we have, the edge to cloud architecture that we have, if we don't establish zero trust, or if we don't establish trust at every point of interaction, we are in trouble. So in cellular infrastructure, we work with, I work with 3GPP, O-RAN. So in these organizations, I see a regular, a growing urgency about security. O-RAN is more taking more aggressive steps towards security, 3GPP is still leaving security to individual players. And this is where we are trying to sound the urgency alarm that it has to be taken up by everybody in an urgent thing. Otherwise, attacks like MGM will happen. So ubiquity of cellular is a very key thing that we have to keep in mind, and it has to be protected. And we will talk about it in a minute about various regulations that are coming up, because leaving it up to commercial enterprises or commercial regulatory bodies is not giving us the pace that is required. And sometimes it seems like hackers are outpacing those regulations. And then the other storm cloud that is looming on the horizon, very large at this time, are quantum computers. So quantum computers have great promise to solve big world problems. Literally, they're capable of solving climate change and world hunger. I'm not being facetious. I'm saying they are geared towards solving those kind of big, multivariable problems. But they can also break your asymmetric cryptography, which is the PKI. And that is the foundation of all our cryptographic protection today. All the little lock icons that you see on your websites, that they are all PKI, all traditional asymmetric cryptography, and they are going to be broken. It's not weakened or anything, plain simple broken, bullet to a paper. So what happens? Our banking transactions, our e-commerce, our software updates for phones, our cars, our health records, our IPs, our state secrets, personal information, that is all today protected behind by this asymmetric cryptography, is going to be compromised. So we are looking at a major upgrade that needs to happen in the industry to be resilient against quantum computing attacks. And we'll get into a little bit more details about what the regulatory bodies are doing, because the pace of quantum computing and the innovation there is not stopping. It is being propelled, both by commercial interest, by academic interest, and by the other innovations that are waiting for it. So to protect from there, everything has a pro and a con. So to protect our cryptography from the attack from quantum computers is a very urgent task, or a storm that is brewing.
So as more of these technological advancements emerge out there, it really seems to be emphasizing the need and importance for companies not to just be cyber secure, to be really, cyber resilient as well, so they can quickly respond to these attacks as they happen. So, Mamta, we'll kick it off with you. How are these emerging cyber threats changing those regulations and compliance standards that you've been talking about?
Yeah, Erin. So I'll just pick up from where I was, that with this disaggregated architecture and and the threat of quantum computers for our asymmetric cryptography, so the pace of change is so fast, and the commercial regulatory bodies, they move at a measured pace so that they can keep costs in check. They have the skill set to implement it. But what we are seeing is that these telecom equipment, the data center equipment, is now part of the critical infrastructure. It is no longer just making a phone call to your mom, or storing your pictures, or watching puppy videos. It is part of critical infrastructure. It runs our hospitals. It runs everything. So AWS and Azure clouds are used by our Department of Defense. So they have to be protected. So CISA, CNSA, which is the commercial arm of NSA, and NIST, which is the regulatory body for everything cybersecurity in USA, they are rolling out multiple standards, guidelines, and regulations. CNSA 2.0, I always recommend to all our customers, to all our viewers, that go check out CNSA 2.0 guideline that has been published and that comes into force for data center servers by January of 25, and for telecom equipment by January of 26, where they are upping the ante on your cybersecurity readiness and cyber resiliency and increased cryptography standards, post quantum threat mitigation is all enshrined in there, and you have to be compliant to it. It's not an option. If you are supplying to US critical infrastructure, you have to be compliant. Similarly, in Europe, the Cyber Resiliency Act, HC and ESA on the telecom side, they are going big time on zero trust principles. And Eric specializes especially in the Cyber Resiliency Act that is going through the EU through approvals, and he can provide more insights there. But these regulations and guidelines are no longer optional. They are being mandatory. They're being made mandatory. The timelines are being proposed and are being enforced, and punitive damages are being enforced as well. Eric, would you like to give us more insights into the CRA that is going through the EU?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Mamta. Yeah. Cybersecurity now is a big deal, and so they're going to pass legislation called the Cyber Resilience Act. The anticipation is that'll get passed in the next year or two, and fully ratified, and it will have pretty strong teeth. What that means is, if you do not build a cyber resilient product, and this is any electronic product basically, you will not be able to sell that into the EU, or if you do sell it into the EU, then you will be fined heavily for selling a non-compliant product. And the goal here is to really take this zero trust environment that Mamta and I have been talking to you about, and ensuring that all electronic products that anyone's going to depend on in the EU are cyber resilient. That means that they're going to be able to identify threats, preferably in real time, to be able to counter for that, update, and fix themselves. So that protect, detect, recover cycle we've been telling you about is about to turn into real legislation in Europe. And I think it's a good thing. And I think we're going to see and have seen executive orders out of the president in the US that are very similar. And then we also have industry groups such as the Trusted Computing Group. They brought you the TPM, the Trusted Platform Module. They now have a cyber resilient working group, and they have a spec they released last summer called Cyber Resilient Modules and Building Blocks. So this concept is really coming now, number one, into the collective ethos of security system engineers, but it's also becoming a true regulatory and compliance issue. And so for anyone that's developing products that wants to sell in the EU, or that really just want to be resilient to these types of attacks, this is something you need to seriously understand and start looking at. And just like Mamta was saying, we have a lot of technologies that could help you deal with this storm of regulation and growing attack surface and vectors to come in and attack these products.
Yeah, so it really sounds like we're going to continue to see a lot of new standards being set and defined out there in the industry. So really appreciate that feedback about this. So I want to take a quick step back to some of the key tech advancements that we talked earlier about, particularly in areas like AI and IoT. This is kind of a beefy two-parter question, so bear with me through this. How have these innovations enhanced our cybersecurity capabilities and introduced new threats? And then the second part to that is, are there any strategies organizations should adopt to balance, the innovation and security effectively? And are there any challenges in adopting these strategies faster?
Yeah, that's a mouthful, Aaron. So I think the first one, AI, it's like any new technology that comes online, right? Everyone gets enamored with the benefits of that technology. And they don't think about the security. They think about the convenience. And this has always been a trade-off in the world of convenience versus security. AI right now is like the cool new kid on the block. Everyone's excited to get their hands on some kind of AI product, do something with it, and very few are thinking about the security implications. And so there's really two aspects to this. There's AI applied to security, and there's security applied to AI. And we'll talk about both of those a little bit. On AI applied to security, that means you're using AI to look for advanced threats in real time, looking for 0-day type of things in real time. It's a great component to add to your cyber resilience story, particularly on the detection part. Remember, we have that protect, detect, recover cycle. Using AI to detect when an anomalous situation is occurring that could be an attack is a great thing. Again, that's another area that Lattice has a lot of really nifty AI capabilities. We bought an AI company not too long ago, so we're working in that space. But then there's also this idea of applying security to AI. And again, this is another area where Lattice can be very helpful. And this is the idea that I want to put into people's minds called data provenance. And so all these AI large language models have to have data to train the inference engine. And there's a concept called basically malicious training or data pool poisoning. And so if you don't know the origin of the data, then you can't really trust the model that got built from untrusted data. So this is really applying security to AI, where we have provenance. We know where that data came from with extreme certainty and immutability. And then we can decide in those models, oh, was this model built using trusted data? I can trust the model. And then the models themselves, as they evolve using other data, can we then further keep that chain of trust on the model and the new data it's pulling in to enhance itself? And so this is a whole new area that you're going to see a lot develop in. And at Lattice, we're starting to look at, like I said, both sides of this equation: AI applied to security, and then security applied to AI. And so this is a place that organizations need to think about before they just jump in and say, oh, I'll take this large language model and use this and make a big decision. That data could be very bad data for you to make your decision on. So I think that's answers your first one. The second one, I have to just throw out a shameless plug for FPGA technology in general. And of course, I'm very biased towards Lattice. FPGAs work really well in this type of environment because they are programmable hardware. They're inherently parallel. So it makes it very easy to run multiple channels for protect, detect, and recover. It makes it easy to run these AI algorithms that are advanced. And, as Mamta was talking about, post-quantum algorithms, they take quite a bit of horsepower as well. FPGAs are very good for running all that. So we have a great solution suite with our FPGAs. And again, any FPGA, I think, is going to be very good in this type of very high churn, new regulations, new what I would call numerically intense operations for security. This is where FPGA technologies really shine. And I would encourage anyone listening to this stream that they look into it, because it could be an answer to a problem you have today or one that you're about to walk into. And if you haven't thought about FPGAs before, this might be a good time to look at that technology.
I can add to a few, pick up some threads that Eric, laid out. So AI in network security is a really good thing. And we are actively working with our customers on implementing some solutions like that, where you are monitoring real time. And FPGAs are really good at doing things real time. And, because they have parallel execution, they have nanosecond responses. So implementing an AI engine in an FPGA gives you that real-time security. You can monitor the traffic. You could, you are protecting, you are detecting anomalous behavior, and then you are, bringing in a recovery, either a golden image stored on a flash on board on an FPGA, or so Lattice has multiple such FPGAs with root of trust and flash on board. So very, very capable devices to implement such secure AI or AI for security. Now, in PQC, yes, the new algorithms are coming, but in cryptography, time is needed to bake these algorithms. These are mathematical algorithms, and the math is constantly, it has to be improved, and it has to stand the test of time. Ultimately, with enough resources and enough time, it is said every cryptographic algorithm can be broken. So how long can a algorithm withstand an attack is the real test for an algorithm's longevity. And for PQC algorithms, it is not yet tested. So what you need is some sort of crypto agility to adopt these new algorithms that are being mandated by the governments. And if they prove out to be not that long lived, some smart, mathematician breaks them and a newer version comes along, you should be able to switch them out without lifting the part in some field application and replacing it, or returning your boards, or completely shutting down your data center for an update. So that crypto agility is a very unique and new demand that is coming out of all of these innovations and threats that are happening. And we are championing crypto agility in FPGAs big time. We are offering solutions that are crypto agile in switching out algorithms in the field. You do not have to do it. You don't have to bring the FPGA back. And then the third thing that we are seeing is that, with the castle model was also a wall, obscurity. Security meant you couldn't see anything. Let me hide everything and I'm secure. That was the thing. And that is breaking down. The wall has broken down. So now you have to be secure in a very clear, transparent way. Okay, look at me and try to attack me, and I'll defend myself. That is the new security paradigm. I'm not hiding anything. Here is my armor. Attack me. Because now your cryptographic protections are rooted in mathematical algorithms. You are attesting every time. You are carrying your papers. Every module carries its papers. Here's who I am. Who are you? So this clear security is becoming very, very important, and it's a new paradigm, especially with open architectures where everything is, open. The interfaces are getting open. Organizations want to put everything on GitHub so that everybody can take a look at it. It has actually uh, enhanced security, and this need is growing. And especially, I'll give you an example. In data centers, there is a component called BMC that manages your whole server motherboard, all the fans and interfaces with the CPU and all. And that was one big black box with many blobs sitting in there. Nobody knew what they were doing, but it somehow it secured your server motherboard. Now the industry is saying no more. We want to understand exactly what you're doing, and you're sitting on a motherboard and trying to provide security. We want clarity in there. So
And
we are
Mamta, don't those have some of the highest national vulnerability tags? Some of the worst, nastiest. Like I think there was one
absolutely,
called "Pants Down." Was
yeah,
top of mind,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm saying the vendors of those kind of BMCs have CISA vulnerabilities that are of the highest nature. And as Eric said, pants down. One is actually called pants down. You can go and search for it and you will find it. It's in CISA's language, not ours, not anybody else's. So the industry is asking that, look, because data centers are critical infrastructure, servers are, the data, modules of data center, you cannot have something with such black box security that is managing your motherboard. So clear BMC is asked for the day. Just a small example, right? Clarity in that. So I would like our viewers to keep that in mind, that this is another paradigm shift that is happening. And it is just a corollary of that citadel breaking down. The wall has broken down. You have to be secure in wide open view. And and Lattice has now solutions for that, in Clear BMC and other what we are calling clarity in trust. So those concepts are coming out of all these new innovations and new threats.
So speaking of some of the solutions that you mentioned too, I know, since we're all from Lattice, we're slightly biased, but I know we have things like Sentry and Supply Guard. Can you guys just quickly touch on those and let us know how it kind of can help?
Yeah, so I can touch on Sentry, and I'll add Lattice's ORAN stack in there as well. So in Sentry, that is geared towards data center servers. It's the embodiment of, it's a solution that gives you a turnkey approach to implement protect, detect, recover for your server motherboard. Say it will give you real-time protection. It will give you T-1 security. That means even before the CPU boots up, we are secure the moment we are on. So this Sentry solution stack implemented on our root of trust devices is a great solution if you're trying to implement cyber resiliency. Now, ORAN stack is for the telecom, RAN infrastructure, where we are securing the PCIe wire. As I said, secure the wire. We have Secure 1588, where we are securing the clock synchronization. We have mutual authentication so that the initiator and follower both authenticate them before synchronization request is, honored. So these stacks are giving you turnkey solutions with reference designs, IPs, and boards to implement these kind of mitigations. And Eric, you can talk about our Supply Guard solution and our root of trust FPGAs.
Yeah, thanks, Mamta. I think, just to emphasize what Mamta said, not only do we make really good foundational root of trust products, but we have these solution stacks that give you capability right out the box. In addition to that, we also looked at a huge vulnerability, which is the supply chain. And so Lattice is one of the highest volume FPGA producers on the planet. And so we really get a good visibility to the overall supply chain. And historically, again, it's a Citadel model. I call it collateral effect. Most people, when they develop with a secure product, they have to share some keys or some of their intellectual property with various elements of the supply chain in order to build a final, OEM product, if you will. And so because of that, there are a whole bunch of vulnerabilities that get injected. And so it's very easy to come in at a low-cost portion of the development process on a product and inject malicious activity, spoof, steal, count, all these crazy things. And that's because of this sharing of information with the supply chain. And that's still Citadel model thinking. If you go to a zero trust model, you really want to be able to say, I can build my product in the highest counterfeit prone area on the planet, and it still can't be counterfeited because my security is in a zero trust model, and I don't trust my manufacturer. I don't want him to be involved in trust. I only want him to do what he does best, make the product. So we developed a service called Supply Guard, and we're able to effectively lock our parts in the supply chain such that it would require a hardware attack to get anything valuable out of them or to exploit them. And what they will get has no information about our customer. So it's basically an expensive attack to get nothing of value. And then with our customers, we let them manage their keys and their IP in a very secure way, such that only our product and their IP and keys come together very securely, and they never have to share that intellectual property or their key material with anyone in the supply chain. So we kind of flipped the equation. We went to the zero trust model, yet we kept the manufacturing costs very low. And so that's a service we call Supply Guard. So again, we kind of cover the gambit here, Aaron, where we've got the base foundation, we have these great solution out-of-the-box stacks to make it easy to build, and we have a way to keep you secure, but keep your manufacturing costs low throughout the supply chain.
Yeah, and really appreciate you both for sharing these insights and the rapid shift of cybersecurity and our increasingly digital world that is out there. And it's excellent to hear that FPGAs are really a key tool that can help protect information, IP, products, and more. Eric and Mamta, thank you both for spending this time with us today to walk us through all this. It's been an absolute pleasure hearing from you both and share what Lattice can do to help our customers and future-proof their business with confidence there. So if you'd like to, yeah, sorry. Thank you both. So if you'd like to learn more about Lattice products and solutions, please visit our website that's showing on the screen right now. Also, if you're interested in learning more about the latest trends, challenges, and low-power FPGA-based solutions out there, please register for the Lattice Developers Conference. That is December 5th through 7th this year. Just go to latticesemi.com/devcon23 to register. And last but not least, stay up to date on our latest news and be sure to follow Lattice on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks for hosting.
Awesome.
Thank you, Aaron. Pleasure.
Goodbye to everyone.